Hello, I wanted to briefly go over the primary source essay with you all. I've got the directions in the prompt we've talked about in class, but sometimes it's helpful to have a video that you can kind of refer back to kind of remind yourself. For the primary source essay, first, it's not really an essay. It's a comparison of sources. This can be conversational. You don't need like an introduction. You don't need a conclusion. You don't need a thesis statement. You're really trying to think about how primary source further increases our understanding of the material. So what you want to do is you want to pick 3 primary sources, and you should pick each primary source should come from a different chapter. And then what you're going to do is you're going to locate the secondary source material that's in the textbook and put it up against what you learned in the primary source. So if all we had was the primary source, what did you learn? How did that increase your understanding of the event? What did it tell you that you wouldn't know otherwise? But now that you read the secondary source, did that give you some more context to understand the primary source more? Do you feel like the secondary source didn't give you enough? Like, it didn't include, things that you think you learned in the primary source should absolutely be shared in a secondary source in a history textbook to further understand the topic. You just need to write a paragraph for each source. So when you read the primary source, write a paragraph about what you read. And then when you read the secondary source, write a paragraph about what you read there. And, when you're writing each of those paragraphs, there may be some comparison and contrast in each of those 2 paragraphs, and kind of putting up against each other. Again, explaining how, the primary source helped you see something that you wouldn't have seen in the secondary source, or vice versa. You're going to do this with 3 documents. So you're going to have a total of 6 paragraphs, right? Because you'll have 1 primary source, and then you'll have what you read in the textbook. The secondary source, you'll have a second primary source, and then what you read in the textbook. And then you'll have a third primary source, and then what you read in the textbook. If you have difficulty, coming up with some ideas, I've given you some suggestions in the prompt. You obviously can come up with your own, maybe something that you're interested in. And if you want some suggestions, if I can help you come up with some suggestions to go along with the primary source, like where you would locate that material, you usually can see if you go into the textbook, the American Yelp textbook, at the bottom of the chapter, they have usually the handful of documents that correspond with that subject. So that's the other way you can make sure that the primary source documents you're looking at are reflected in the secondary source text. But, by all means, send me an email or ask me in class. I'm happy to help. I look forward to see what y'all come up with. This is a fun assignment for me to read because you all will pick, different documents. And even if you pick the same document, you're going to have different ideas about what you learned in the document. So again, if you have any questions, send me an email or ask me in class. I'm happy to help. Take care. Bye-bye.